Welcome to today's episode, where we unravel the rise of the United Kuki National Army, or UKNA, in Northeast India. Dr. Menon, could you set the stage for our listeners? What triggered the emergence of this group in 2015?
Absolutely. The UKNA was born from growing frustration among Kuki youth and grassroots communities who felt let down by existing peace deals and political arrangements. Many believed that past agreements, like the suspension of operations, didn't deliver real change or autonomy.
So, instead of following the path of negotiation, UKNA took a different route. How does this set them apart from other Kuki groups that preceded them, such as the Kuki National Organization?
Unlike the KNO, which opted for talks and ceasefires, the UKNA adopted a more uncompromising stance. They positioned themselves as defenders of Kuki identity and land, insisting that only direct resistance, not political dialogue, could achieve their aims.
Let's delve deeper into the Suspension of Operations Agreement, or SoO. What exactly is the SoO, and why did it leave so many, including future UKNA members, dissatisfied?
The SoO is essentially a ceasefire between certain insurgent groups and the Indian government, started in 2008. Groups move into designated camps and refrain from violence in exchange for peace talks. However, many on the ground saw it as benefiting only a select elite, with little progress on real autonomy.
That's interesting. Would you say the SoO inadvertently deepened internal divisions within Kuki society?
Precisely. While some leaders gained legitimacy and resources, many felt the broader Kuki goals were sidelined. This sense of marginalization fueled UKNA's formation and their rejection of compromise.
Moving ahead, let's talk about UKNA's core beliefs. How does their ideology differ from other groups operating in the region?
UKNA's ideology revolves around uncompromising protection of Kuki land, identity, and culture. They argue that dialogue frameworks like the SoO stall progress and allow government control to persist, whereas armed resistance is, in their view, the only path to meaningful change.
That's a stark contrast to the KNO's approach. Does this ideological divide have real consequences for youth recruitment or community support?
Definitely. UKNA's hardline stance resonates with parts of the Kuki youth, especially those feeling alienated by mainstream leaders. However, it also draws criticism from civil society and elders who fear that violence undermines long-term peace efforts.
UKNA operated under the radar in its early years. How did they manage to grow their ranks and expand their influence in Kuki-majority regions like Churachampur and Henglep?
Initially, UKNA focused on grassroots mobilization, targeting disaffected youth disillusioned with peace talks. They capitalized on local grievances, such as marginalization and lack of opportunities, much like how other movements worldwide have used community frustrations to build clandestine networks.
Are there any parallels to insurgent groups in other conflict zones, say, the FARC in Colombia or the Karen movement in Myanmar?
There are indeed similarities. Like those groups, UKNA blends ideological messaging with promises of empowerment, leveraging social networks to establish a committed cadre base.
Let's discuss the June 2025 ambush, which really thrust UKNA into the national spotlight. What happened during this incident, and why did it matter so much?
On June 30, 2025, UKNA operatives ambushed an SUV carrying Thangboy Halkiptha, KNA's deputy commander-in-chief on Jasami Road. 4 people, including a civilian woman, were killed. UKNA claimed responsibility, framing it as retribution for previous attacks on its own leaders.
Such public violence often has ripple effects. How did this event alter perceptions of UKNA, both within the Kuki community and among authorities?
It sharply polarized opinion. Some saw UKNA as ruthless but principled, while others, especially civil society and elders, condemned the violence, worrying it would fracture Kuki society and derail peace efforts.
Now, intra-Kuki rivalries seem to be intensifying. Can you explain why these internal conflicts have become such a destabilizing force in recent years?
The rifts stem from deep ideological differences. While groups like KNA favor negotiation, UKNA sees this as betrayal. The recent ambush was not just about personal vendetta, it symbolized a broader rejection of what UKNA views as capitulation by mainstream Kuki leaders.
Could this fragmentation actually weaken the Kuki cause in the face of external threats or rival groups?
Absolutely. Disunity plays into the hands of both government authorities and rival ethnic groups, making Kukis more vulnerable to political marginalization and territorial losses.
Let's put this conflict in context. How do broader ethnic dynamics in Manipur and neighboring states influence the UKNA's actions and appeal?
The region's ethnic tapestry is complex. Kukis and Nagas inhabit the hills, while Meiteis dominate the Imphal Valley and control most political power. Many Kukis believe they're systematically excluded from governance and land rights, fueling anger and support for militant outfits like UKNA.
With that in mind, does UKNA's refusal to enter peace talks set a precedent for other disaffected groups?
It certainly could. By openly rejecting the SoO, UKNA signals to other marginalized factions that negotiation isn't the only option, potentially paving the way for more radical resistance.
After the June ambush, how did the authorities and civil society respond? Did these actions help restore calm or further inflame tensions?
Security forces increased their presence, conducting raids and checkpoints. Meanwhile, local leaders, especially tribal councils and church groups, publicly condemned the violence, urging restraint. Yet, these efforts struggled to address the underlying grievances driving support for UKNA.
Were there any notable shifts in public opinion as a result of these interventions?
Some community members rallied for peace, but others saw the crackdown as heavy-handed. This mix of fear and frustration means the situation remains volatile and unresolved.
Looking forward, what are the main obstacles to achieving lasting peace in Kuki areas? Can the current ceasefire framework accommodate groups like UKNA?
The biggest challenge is trust, or the lack thereof. Integrating UKNA into a broader peace process requires addressing their core grievances, ensuring fair representation, and rebuilding faith in dialogue. Without this, violence may become cyclical, as seen in similar conflicts worldwide.
Is there a hypothetical scenario where all Kuki factions, including UKNA, come to the table?
It's possible, but would demand significant political will and perhaps third-party mediation, drawing parallels to peace processes in places like Northern Ireland, where deep-rooted divisions were slowly bridged through power-sharing and inclusive dialogue.
To wrap up, what key lessons can we draw from the UKNA's rise for both policymakers and the Kuki community?
The UKNA's journey highlights the dangers of leaving grievances unaddressed. Agreements that exclude significant voices risk fueling militancy. True peace needs more than ceasefires. It requires honest dialogue, representation, and a willingness to confront past failures.
That's a powerful message. As we've seen, the UKNA's trajectory reflects both the hopes and the frustrations of a community in search of justice. Thank you, Dr. Menon, for sharing your insights on this complex and evolving issue.
Thank you for having me. It's crucial we keep these conversations going, as understanding the roots of conflict is the first step toward resolution.